Hi, hello. Welcome to our video lecture today. So the topic today is about culture and health. Now, what is most important for us as a psychologist relate to health? Yeah, as we see, we as psychologists will give services to other people concerning of their psychological health, their mental health, and also their social health. So now, why culture is also important in this place? Now, culture plays an important role to define what health it is. And in different culture, they practice different way on how to cure certain disease and give some kinds of the treatment to cure the diseases. So in this topic itself, we would like to see the differences of cultures on how to define health and also to give treatments to other people. Right. So what's the comparison across culture? Right. So first of all, we need to define what health it is. Now here we can see that health, it is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or illness. So basically, it's not about if whether there is a disease or illness, but it is about a complete physical, mental, and social well-being. There are three important components here. So this is a general definitions about health. Now, and in different ways of culture, in different culture, the view of looking into health, there are a few different views. So the first one is biomedical model, which is to see the disease is the result from the identifiable cause such as pathogens. Pathogens such as virals or bacteria, it could be a part of a pathogens. But in pathogens, it also could be caused by the genetic itself, or the developmental of abnormality, or the physical insult. Physical insult, which would something like abused or have been aggressively hidden by related to our physical caused by accidents and so on. So in biomedical model, this is where to explain how people will get disease and also illness, related to biological. Another part of the model is where biopsychosocial model, which related to biology, social, and also psychological factors, which are very important for health. As you can see here, there are three factors which is related to biological, social, and also psychological factors, which also very much related to us as a psychologist to see how health being it is. And another part of the model is where to look into the holistic and homeostasis of the well-being itself, which is to see the balance is important. So like, for example, Chinese, how the Chinese defined health as a whole, Chinese, they will look into the balance in their body, which like yin and yang. I'm sure all of us have heard before what's yin and yang. So the balance in the yin and yang is very, very important. If one part of the yin or yang is more than the another part, therefore we can say it's imbalance. So when there is imbalance, then we can define that you are having a disease or an illness. Like, for example, how does this yin and yang can happen? The imbalance of yin and yang can happen is because, like, such as you overeating, you do not have enough of sleep, so all this can cause the imbalance of yin and yang. As we see that this actually can affect a person's health. So this is a belief by the Chinese people. Now you can see that different culture, the way how they look into health are so much different. Right? Now, the health perspectives may differ between individuals from the mainstream culture and those of the non-dominant social and ethno-cultural group. Individuals from mainstream culture, like for example in Malaysia, mainstream culture are such as the Malay, the Chinese, and the Indian. The non-dominant social ethno-culture are such as the small ethnic groups that we can see that you have defined earlier on before the class, is like, such as like Indian, the Ibans, a small ethnic group of the Indian, the Orang Asli, the Kadazan, the Dusun, those are the non-dominant and also ethno-culture of the group. Okay, so there are differences as well, because the way of how they're practicing life is different than how they're practicing the healthcare. Now, for example, okay, in here, the Native Americans have a feeling of connected to and in balance with spiritual world, okay, which is the cornerstone or the fundamental of the good mental and physical health. Right? So this according to the Native Americans, where they believe that the first thing, the priority about health is about the spiritual world. If you do not have good connections with the spiritual realm, you may cause bad health, okay? Or you won't have a good health in your life later on. So this is how they're related to health. So however, in the recent years, okay, the mainstream culture is already incorporating the ideas with the help from the immigrants. Immigrants could be people from outside of the country that entered to the country that practicing different way of how they define health or how they do the treatment. Okay, so the mainstream culture actually had already incorporated the idea. They have joining the ideas or adopting some of the ideas from the immigrants. Okay, so because let's look into it, some of the ideas from the immigrants might giving a good way of good alternative on how to cure disease. Like for example, the complementary and alternative medicines, okay, which is the acupuncture, okay, homeopathy, yoga, herbal medicines, and spiritual healing. So these are some of the healthcare from the immigrants that have been incorporating into the mainstream culture. Okay, look back into your culture. You might see that some of your family members or in your culture actually do practicing other alternative way of medicines to help cure any disease that having in your culture, right? So what are the three indicators of health of worldwide? Okay, health worldwide. As a whole, as a worldwide, what are the three main things that we're looking into to take care of the health? Okay, first one, okay, to identify the health of the world is the life expectancy. Okay, what is life expectancy? Life expectancy is the average of number of years where a person is expected to live from birth. Okay, since you are born, okay, you think that how long you could live, or as you see people around you, average years of numbers, how long they can live, the oldest that can go, right? As you can see, year by year, the number of average numbers are getting lesser and lesser. Could be previously, in few years before this, okay, people could live up to 100 years, okay, but it seems like nowadays, okay, it has been reducing, okay, become slightly reduced. Okay, could be 80, 70. So those are the average numbers of the years of persons that can be expected to live, right? Now, the drastic differences in life expectancy are due to the differences in wealth and resources of a country. So in different countries have different life expectancy. Why? This is due to the wealth. Okay, kekayaan dan juga sumber in the country itself. Okay, if the country itself are rich, they have enough of resources, enough method of how to make sure the health of the people are being taken care of. Therefore, the average number of years could be higher than the other country who are lacking in the resource itself. Okay, so now the disparities means the differences in life expectancy can even be greater within one country itself. Okay, like for example, in Malaysia, okay, if you want to see within Malaysia itself, okay, compare from one state to another state or one group with another group, okay, you also can see the differences there. Okay, like for example, from the mainstream and the minority, okay, there could be have differences in the life expectancy itself. Okay. Now, health disparities, okay, will occur in pluralistic countries where ethnic majority individuals tend to have longer life expectancy than the ethnic minority individuals. So the differences is where you can see is that the ethnic majority, okay, would have longer life expectancy. And this one we can see in a pluralistic country, means that country with a lot of ethnic groups, such as in Malaysia. Okay, now why it is so? Okay, most likely, and most of the research that to proven this is because of the health and the wealth and also the resource of the people itself. Okay. Secondly, on how to indicate that the health of the world itself is to see the infant mortality, the baby's mortality. What is mortality? Which is the numbers of death, okay, of infant babies. Okay, numbers of infant deaths per 1,000 live birth. Okay, within 1,000 live birth, how many mortality of infants that can happen? Okay, in Malaysia itself, we likely can see this happen because everyone's really take care of their little one. Okay, but compared to some countries which have lesser resources, okay, they could have higher infant death. Okay. Now, there are disparities by ethnic group. The differences can see between each ethnic group, and the large part of differences and can be attributed to the resource. Again, it's because of the resources that can ensure the access to good nutrition, healthcare, and also treatment. So if any ethnic group have the problem or have the challenges in accessing good nutrition, healthcare, and treatment, therefore the infant mortality would be increased. Okay. So third indicator, okay, to see whether the health of the worthwhile is good or not is based on this subjective well-being. So this is so much related to psychologists, where we would love to see the well-being of a person. Okay, so subjective well-being is encompasses the person's feeling of happiness and also life satisfaction. Means that you feel happy, you feel satisfied with your life as a whole, as subjectively whole, as a well-being. Okay, so SWB is positively related to physical health. So therefore, it's very important to have a good well-being because this can relate to our physical health. Okay, as you can see that a lot of people that have reported that whoever have higher SWB will have stronger immune system and also have fewer heart attack and less artery blockage, okay, which can also lead to heart disease. Right. So now, by one reason why SWB may be related to better physical health is that people with higher SWB also tend to engage in a healthier lifestyle. Okay, apart from those three indicators, okay, so genetic can influence on physical health and also disease. Now, apart from the three indicators, genetic can also play an important role. Okay, so what are the most common complex genes and disease are cancer, high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, and also obesity. So these are what we call as the most common complex gene disease. Okay, genes really can play a very important role in affects our physical health. So we know that human genomes, we can identify about 25 genes in the human DNA, and there appears to be more genetic variants, okay, within the racial and cultural groups than between. Okay, meaning that inside a group, an ethnic group itself, okay, within the ethnic group itself or race, okay, there could be have a differences into their genetics. So means that every individuals are different. Okay, all right. If you would like to compare, okay, between groups, okay, it's very hardly to see the differences. But if within the individual itself, therefore, there could have differences of genetic disease. Therefore, as a genetic disease is also need to relate, okay, what family line that you have. Okay, therefore, if I can identify any of your family members that have those kind of disease, therefore you as yourself need to take care. Okay, So the multi-level or interdisciplinary research or efforts also should clarify the complex relations of genetics, environment, and culture to disease. Means that in genetic itself, it's not only by genetic itself, but there are also some research that can prove that environment and cultures are also related to this physical health. Now, apart from genetics, psychosocial also plays the influence in our physical health, okay, which to link that between psychosocial factors, okay, to see that if there is a negative life event or poor health can also cause bad or negative physical health. Okay, so this can see that health disparities. Okay, the differences of health is to see the outcome by each group. Okay, within one group showing the worst health outcome. Okay, where we can see one group have a worse health outcome because of what? Because of social factor. What are the social factors? Okay, what are the social factors is to see that higher rate of infant mortality for African American babies. Why African American babies so specifically? Okay, because of social factor. Okay, because of the resources that you don't have. Okay, so this is a part of social life that they are experiencing. Not enough of nutrition. Okay, and do not have enough of social group support. Therefore, okay, the disparity, okay, you can see the differences in it. The mortality are higher. Now, what are the psychosocial effects? Is like number one is social isolations and mortality. Isolations itself can cause mortality. Now, individuals with few social ties, okay, would suffer highest mortality rate. Okay, people with most social ties have the lowest rate. So meaning that people who actually suffer highest, okay, in social, okay, have the higher rate of death, okay, compared to people who have a lot of social ties. Means that you need to have a lot of social relationship, okay, so to come out from this mortality. So this is proven by a study of this county study. Alameda County of California, they did this university have done studies where to see the first to demonstrate enormous role of psychosocial factors plays in the maintenance of our physical health. They see that how much social isolations, okay, this is a 9 years research, okay, results that comes out to see that out of 5,000 plus of people that partake in these studies, it found out that, okay, those who do not have good social support or feel lonely, okay, are the important factor that can cause physical health disparity and also mortality. It started with the perceptions itself. Okay, so the result from the study is to say that whoever feel or have a thought of being having a less social support, not feeling being alone, okay, lonely, or what we call isolations, is the main factor that can cause mortality. Okay, so you see how important it is social support, okay, among people. That is why psychologists will provide social support to people. Okay, so in this case, it doesn't say that individual culture or collective culture, how to say, individual culture are less important than collective culture. Okay, it does not mean that collective culture are better or the other one are bad. Okay, but it's to see how the way they perceive and look into their living. Okay, all right. So now social cultural influence on health, physical health and disease, okay, in the cultural dimensions, okay, where we're gonna see that most traditional Japanese, for example, Japanese have the lowest incidence of coronary heart disease and vice versa. Okay, most traditional. Okay, traditional Japanese do not have heart disease. Okay, it means that, okay, the way how they live their life can actually, okay, overcome the heart disease. Okay. However, the European American had the highest rate of heart attack. Okay. No matter they are European American or the Trappist monks. Okay, so Trappist monks have the lowest rate of heart attack. Okay, why? Okay, it's the way of their lifestyle as well. Okay, European American, okay, can consider as the individualistic culture. Okay, they live their own life. Okay, Trappist monk, okay, they related to subject well-being. Okay, have the lowest as well. Now, this is to see the support or isolations. How much support that you have? Again, individualistic could have little support. Okay. So those are one of the most important factors that can cause diseases. Okay, is also related to the four cultural tendencies of influence diseases. Okay, like the cultural factor. Okay, four cultural factor. Okay, individualism versus collectivism, power distance, okay, uncertainty of avoidance, and also masculinity. Okay, let's see this table. It is a summary of the funding and relationship between the four cultural dimensions. Okay, now you can see that in a higher power distance means that the differences between one persons with the higher level of culture, okay, what they have a higher rate of infections and parasites disease. Okay, why? Could be there not enough of medical to cure these infections and parasites, cystic disease, because can be infectious. People who are at higher level, they can cure themselves, but people who are at lower level, okay, it was being ignored. Okay, so therefore you have a higher rate of infections, but you would also have a lower rate of malignant neoplasms, okay, circulatory disease, and also heart disease, okay, which is related to heart. Okay, so have a lower rate because masing-masing, okay, take care of their own things. So higher individualism, if you have high individualism, you have higher rate of neoplasma and also heart disease because you're only concerned about yourself, social isolations. Okay, now lower rate of infections and parasititis disease, cerebrovascular disease. Okay, so you have lower rate of these infections because everyone take care of yourself. So higher uncertainty avoidance have a higher rate of heart disease because you are uncertainty, tak tahu apa yang akan berlaku in your future. Therefore, you have higher rate of heart disease. But you also could have a lower rate of cerebrovascular disease, which related to respiratory and also brain disease. Now, higher masculinities. Okay, if you have high masculinity, but you also would have higher rate of cerebrovascular disease related to the brain or blood vessel in the brain. Okay, so this is a source by Matsumoto himself and Fletcher. Okay, what is the differences of culture that can affect health, physical health? Discrepancy between one personal culture value, okay, and those of the society will play a role in stress. Okay, your culture value can contribute to certain kinds of stress. Thus, this also can lead to negative health outcome. Okay, what kind of culture value? For example, you must score the best in your study. This is one could be of the cultural value. So this cultural value can indicate certain stress in your social roles. Okay, and it also can cause negative health outcome. So the discrepancies between self and the society, cultural values significantly correlated with a greater need for coping. So the bigger discrepancy between you individual means you wanted to against the cultural values that have been practicing in the culture itself are highly related to coping, means that you need coping. Okay, so coping strategies are significantly correlated with depressions and also anxiety. The better coping strategy that you have, okay, your depression, anxiety will get lower. So this is how we say they are significantly correlated. Okay, means are related That means that you really need a coping strategies to overcome these depressions and also anxiety. Okay, a part of that, how culture sees other things, like for example, culture, body shapes, and eating disorder. Okay, now body dissatisfactions is what we call as a predictor of eating disorder. Okay, if you're dissatisfied with your body, okay, this is also can be seen in eating disorder. Okay, you don't like the way how you look, too fat, so you might losing up eating. Or if you think that you're too skinny, okay, is too skinny. So what will happen is you are going on to eat and eat and eat. So this is what we call as a predictor because of the eating disorder. So male are more likely to select heavier figure as attractive. Okay, the bigger macho lagi kan. Okay, so that is why I say the heavier it is more attractive. But female always believe falsely, okay, that males prefer thinner body shape. Okay, all right. So what happened is in the rural area, heavier bodies are preferred than vice versa. Okay, so this is so contra. Some rural areas, okay, where people perceive that if you have a heavy body, you are preferred, okay, because you can do more work, okay, compared to skinny people. So it all depends on culture, how the culture looks on your body shapes. So culture's values, beliefs, and opinions about wealth, beauty, power are plays the important role in your attitudes towards eating, your thinness, and also obesity. So look back again, how your cultures look into your body shapes and eating disorder. So most importantly for us is to identify whether does it really bring good health or not. Memberi kesan pada your physical health. Okay, so how's about obesity? This is increasingly important in the public health concern across many countries recent years. There are a lot of countries looking into the obesities, okay, where we know that if it's overweight means your BMI is above 35, okay, obesity is above 30, okay. So what happened is you need to diet if you are in obese. Diet means that consumptions of fast food, okay, of soft drink, and lack of exercise to contribute to obesity. So it says that the way of how you eat, okay, the way how your physical activities will contribute to obesities, right? Again, go back to culture, how culture defines suicide, okay? All right, risks of suicide are very complex. We all know suicide is not good, okay? Must not happen, okay? But however, there are a role of cultures also plays important in this sense. For example, the Japanese seppuku or harakiri, okay? The things that suicide is to preserve honor, especially when they go to fight, okay? If they do not achieve the goal or the target of what they're supposed to do on that particular mission, they need to suicide, okay, in terms for them to get an honor in the society. Okay, so this is what I call as a profound or insightful of the social cultural changes, okay, are determined of the societal behavior. So it is related to social cultural changes. How people think that this is not supposed to happen. So if there is a changes, therefore you will also change the societal behavior. Okay, or if there's changes in the society itself, okay, that leads to depressions, that leads to the insightful thought about suicidal behavior. So it's very important, okay, we need to contain ourselves, okay, from being too depressed and anxiety. So as you can see, there's a power distance, uncertainty avoidance, and masculinity are negatively correlated with suicide. Okay, so means the higher the power distance, the lower suicide case. Higher uncertainty avoidance, okay, it can masculinity negatively correlated with suicides. Okay, means that whichever is higher, vice versa. Okay, it goes in a different directions. All right. Okay. So individually, However, individualisms are positively correlated. Okay, positively correlated means that the higher individualism you have, okay, the higher rate of suicidal case. Okay, because of feel of social isolations. So religions really plays a role in understanding this suicide. Some religions, okay, some cult, okay, can actually can contribute the idea of suicidal. However, most religions with good values will help us to understand why suicide is not appropriate. Okay. Now, one thing about culture and health is to adaptations, or what calls acculturations, okay, and the immigrant paradox. Acculturation. Okay, this is where you see the changes and adaptations due to context of a new culture. So whenever there are new culture, how are we going to adapt with it? Now, in the Barry's model of acculturations, okay, there are two questions that you need to answer and need to be asked is where to see to what extent people involved in the heritage culture. How much you actually involved in your heritage culture and how much are you involved in the dominant culture? Okay, there are two groups of culture. One is heritage, means which is inherit, okay, from by your ancestor. Another culture, dominant culture, is the culture that it is practicing currently. Okay, or what we call as the new culture. So acculturations will play a role, okay, in a complex role in the way how health are being related, okay, with the behavior and also the outcome of it. Okay, how you're going to portray your behavior related, okay, to the new culture that you have. Okay, so you're gonna start to think of, have certain kind of perceptions, how you're going to blend in or adapt, okay, with the culture, the current culture that you're going to practice. Like for example, what we are having currently with the pandemic that's going on, we try to adapt with the new culture. Okay, so it is a complex role in relating it. Now, immigrants paradox is where you have a thought of immigrants that immigrants do better on many health measures despite of the hardships. Okay, no matter whatever hardships that you're having, okay, the best way is to migrate. Immigrants is more better, okay, on many health measures, or what we call as the alternative way of medical treatments, right? Now, what are the differences of healthcare and medical delivery systems? Okay, so different country and culture have their unique way on how dealing with the healthcare. So countries' healthcare delivery system, how we deliver all this healthcare, all right, there are some factors which is by social and economic development, technological advance and availability, influence of the neighbors, and also collaborating with other countries. So it says that these are most important things that can contribute to the to increase, okay, healthcare system. All right, so what are the four major types of national healthcare system? Okay. So entrepreneurships, okay, people who are being an entrepreneur, okay, they might give a good healthcare system, welfare oriented, comprehensive, and also specialist. So these are the four major national healthcare that can contribute to healthcare delivery system. So how to put it in, we look into this model. Okay, so this is the health and also disease as a whole. Okay, what we will have, we have genetics that plays important, where to understand individual history, okay, ancestry, so you understand what in your family line, okay, what kind of disease that you have. And then you'll see the lifestyles of behavior started to diet, whether you're obese, okay, so exercise, okay, health-related behavior like smoking, tobacco use, alcohol use, or something related to your emotions, okay, depressions and stress and how you cope with it. And later on, you see your attitude and your belief, how you define your health. What is that concept of the body attributions to the disease? What can cause the disease? Okay, how's your locus of control? You either internally cause, is it because you started to blame yourself, or you externally cause, is it because of the factor that you cannot control? Okay, and what is the social network and support? How is the social network and support? And we look also into the environment. Okay, the temperature itself, does this contribute to your health and disease? The climate, okay, and sanitization. Do you do any sanitization? Okay, sorry, sanitation. Sanitation means cleanliness. Okay, all right. So next one is healthcare system. So healthcare, how do you deliver the quality of it? The system and the organizations, how is the system and how it is being organized, and also if there is any insurance. So all these will be bound with culture. Culture is most important thing, plays a role to contribute, okay, to contribute how is all the other factors goes around to increase the health and also to decrease the disease in your life. Okay, all right. I think that's all for today. Okay, so I hope that you may understand how culture really plays an important role, okay, in your health. Okay, so look back how your culture practicing, how your culture really practice to take care of your health. Okay, some people like, oh, when you got fever, okay, you immediately took Panadol. But some people, when they start to get fever, okay, they remember that, oh, the mother says that, oh, drink a lot of lemon juice, okay, a lot of vitamin C to get rid of the fever. So it all depends on how you practicing it and which method that you believe that give the best method in curing your disease. Okay, I think that's all for today. All right, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the class today. I'll see you again in the next class. Bye.